All right, we have the newest member of the UFC roster joining us right now. As we reported on Saturday, right before UFC 250 went down, this man, Christian Aguilera, has signed with the promotion. He's going to take on fellow newcomer Anthony Ivy this Saturday at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. Christian, how are you, sir?
Feel good, man. I'm excited. I'm super pumped. Yeah.
That quarantine beard, man, unreal.
This is just natural, you know?
Do you always
Man.
have it like that, or did it just kind of grow more and more as we were all locked down and stuff?
No, this is about as good as I ever look. This is it.
Yeah, perfect timing, right? UFC debut coming up in just a few days, and you're looking the best you can, right?
Yeah, there we go.
So this came together pretty quickly, didn't it? Like, we found out on Thursday that Ian Heinisch was not going to fight at UFC 250, and then that Anthony Ivy was slotted in to fight Gerald Mearshart, and then hours later, Ian was back in and Anthony was going to stay on the roster, and from what I was told, that night, you were already in talks to fight Ivy this coming weekend, and that's sort of a lot to say because this story is pretty wild, but when were you entered into this conversation? How did this all come together for you?
I was at practice on Thursday, and I got a call from my manager. He said, "Hey, can you make weight tomorrow?" And if he's going to ask me that, and I knew it was for like a UFC fight because this is the only fights going on. So of course, I'll do whatever I got to do to make the weight. So I started going around, getting all my medicals done. And then after I finished my last medical, ready to drive out to Vegas, I just started driving. And then he's like, "Hey, I got good news and bad news. The bad news is you're not fighting this weekend, but the good news is you're fighting next weekend and you got signed to the UFC. So fuck it, I'll take that, for sure.
So at first, were they trying to book you and Ivy for UFC 250, or were you in discussions to fight Gerald?
I have no idea. They just said, "Can you make weight?" And I said yes. So whoever it was, it didn't really. Yeah.
Well, now that you're here, does it feel real that you're in the UFC, or do you need to sort of get this fight out of the way before it does?
It just feels like a normal fight right now. So we'll see. It just feels normal. Nothing too crazy. I thought it would be more of a emotional roller coaster. I'm feeling everything. Everything's just awestruck, but not really. It feels like I've seen myself here a lot of times. I've seen myself here for a while, and I know I should be here. So everything just feels right.
So from your first amateur fight, at least what's listed online, to now, it took around 8 years or so for you to get this opportunity. And I always love hearing the MMA genesis stories because they're always so different. They're always somewhat crazy, and they all come from different sorts of places. But how did you find this crazy sport?
I used to play hockey in high school and all growing up. So I played hockey for 10 years. I played over in New York at a private school out there. And when I got back, I just didn't want to play anymore. I just wanted to do something to stay in shape. So one of my friends who was, I think he was in the Army at the time, invited me to go check out a cardio kickboxing class over at No Limits with my first coach. And I went over there, and then I just loved it. I never left the gym after that. We talked to the coach the first day. I said, "This is what I want to do. I want to fight." And then he kind of took me under his wing, and I was with him for about 5-6 years. Yeah.
So where are you at now?
I'm with Team Oyama, Classic Fight Team, and Raw Talent Boxing.
Team Oyama. So they got just heavy hitters everywhere. You can't really avoid, training and working with a high-level fighter. Yeah, it's pretty wild over there. This is going to be your 20th professional fight coming up on Saturday, right?
Yes.
This is number 20. And you're only 28 years old, so you're a baby when it comes to age in MMA, but you do have a ton of fight experience. Do you feel like you're at that place where things are clicking at the right time, or is that still to come in your opinion?
I do. I feel like everything is coming together as it should be. For a long time, my mental part of the game was a little bit of a hiccup for me. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, but now it's very solid. Now I exactly a very pinpoint in what I'm supposed to think, how I'm supposed to think, and I'm very I feel very I don't know how to explain it. Everything just feels right, man. I feel I'm right where I should be, and everything feels like it's clicking together perfectly.
What sort of mental hurdles are you talking about? What sort of things did you have to fight with before you kind of got to this place you're in right now?
It would just be a lot of negative self-talk would be the biggest thing. I was just trying I would be too hard on myself, put too much pressure on certain situations that didn't need it. But I started working with the mindset coach, and he's helped me out a lot. He's helped me just kind of get everything in order, get my thoughts exactly where I need them.
When did you start working with the mindset coach?
About 2 fights ago.
And that's made a huge difference for you it's got to be a liberating feeling to get a lot of that negative energy out of you, right?
Yeah, well, it's just the calmness it allows me to have. There's none that like what might happen. It's like, no, I'll make what I want to happen. So that calmness is the biggest thing that he's helped me with.
Is there a lot of like visualization attached to that as well?
Yeah, of course. I'm always sitting around like when I'm not doing anything else. I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do, what I want to do, how I want the fight to play out, every situation that could possibly happen, and then my responses to it. So a lot of work.
How did you get to that place? Because I know, you've been in the sport for a while, and then was it the back-to-back losses that led you to having to make that change within yourself, or was that something you had sort of talked about with yourself and your team before it actually happened?
No, well, Alex Perez, he kind of put me onto this guy. So yeah, like they could tell I was kind of like, am I allowed to curse here? They could tell I was a little fucked up in the head after my 2 losses in a row. I was just like not where I should be. I was kind of spacey out, not doing well in practice. Just everything wasn't looking good. And he's like, hey, you should try this guy out. You should talk to him before your next fight and just see how it goes. And then I started talking to him and everything just fell into line.
Well, Alex is certainly a good guy to get some motivation and some ideas from, especially after how he looked on Saturday night. That was impressive.
100%, man. He's like our team captain over there at Oyama. He's like the big brother. He's kind of small, but
With everything going on in the world right now with COVID-19 and everything, you had your last fight in January, got that win for LFA. Were you nervous that it may be a long time before you could fight again?
Not really. Like, there's nothing we could do. If I fight, I fight. If not, we don't. Like, there's still time to get better. There's still time to train. So you got to use the time you have constructively, and that's what we did. We skill built during that time, and we stayed ready just in case, because we knew after those 2 wins, we're kind of on the precipice of we might get into the UFC. We might get a big shot. So we have to stay ready at all times.
Was there any talks about maybe getting you on the Contender Series? Had you been approached about that at all?
Yeah, we were talking about it. We're like, I was hoping, but nothing like set in stone.
Well, this works out better anyways, right?
Yeah, I like this better.
So you're going to fight Anthony Ivy, a guy who is on a roll right now, 5-fight winning streak, 5 finishes, multiple titles on the regional scene. With this fight sort of coming together so quickly, do you know much about Anthony? Has he been on your radar at all?
I have seen him a little bit. I thought we were going to match up for him probably for Contenders or maybe a regional show. But yeah, I've seen a lot of his fights. I studied him a little bit. Yeah.
I'm sure being in the UFC was a major goal for you in the sport, as it is for most. And you've gotten there, and you're going to make the walk on Saturday. But when you do so, you're going to do it in an empty arena setting. How do you feel about that? Does it sort of bum you out that you're not going to be able to do it in front of a crowd, or are you sort of excited for this opportunity to hear leather hitting skin a lot more so now?
I do like that sound. No, it should be cool, man. I feel like it's an easier transition than making a debut in front of 60,000 people. You get to debut in front of like the same crowd that would be at a sparring session. So like 10, 20 people. Like, that's cool. I'll take that any day.
So it sort of takes a little bit of the pressure off you in a way?
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, like I don't really notice the crowd when I'm in there anyway, and we're just going to get in a fist fight. So like if we're outside, we could fight. If we're in the cage, we could fight. Like it doesn't matter.
It's definitely different being a part of a UFC fight week because they're like a well-oiled machine, as you're going to see, and fighting in the octagon and all that stuff. But you fought for some big name regional promotions. You have the experience advantage. You fought some recognizable names on the way up to this point. How much do you think that experience plays to your advantage on Saturday?
It definitely helps out, man. Like fighting a lot of the tough guys coming up, fighting these hard fights, fighting these tougher guys. It helped me fill in the holes in the game, which makes me more like a complete fighter. So I think it'll all come together on Saturday. It's going to be fun. Put on a show.
Is it fair to say that you probably took a lot more out of the David Michaud fight than most of your other ones? Because, David's just such a grinder. He's been in this game a long time. He's got a lot of experience, had some big fights in his career. It's hard to not take something away from a fight like that, right?
Yeah, man. For sure. Same thing, like that was one of the ones where I realized I needed to get my thoughts in order. There was a lot of negative going into that. And then when I was in there, I got like way too excited. When I hit him the first time, I was like, oh, that was like I felt very quick in there. I felt very fast. I felt faster than him. So every time I would touch him, boom, it would be nice and quick. And I'd see his head pop back. And then I got way too excited because of that. So now I'm a little more calm, a little more relaxed, and able to keep that under wraps.
Did you feel that like right away in the next fight, like the difference after working with the mindset coach? Like, did you notice that? Did you have to really change anything? Did you have to put yourself in a different position once you landed a strike as opposed to the Machad fight after working with the coach? Like, how different was it?
It was night and day, man. Yeah, it was definitely night and day. When because I fought the big Polish guy after that. I don't know his name, Kulitsky, whatever. But I fought a guy after that. And same thing, I was touching him, I was fast, I was hitting him, and then I was able to stay more calm, able to stay more relaxed, able to listen to my coach, just be more present in the fight rather than thinking like, oh, this is it.
Who's going to be cornering you on Saturday?
We got Ernest Chavez, Colin Oyama, and Chuy Gutierrez. So my boxing coach and my other two coaches, yeah.
So the first UFC fight coming up on Saturday night in Las Vegas against a very game opponent. How do you introduce yourself to the promotion and its fans? How do you get this done on Saturday night?
If you've seen any of my fights, I'm always an exciting fighter. I'm always going to finish fights. I'm always looking to put them away. So I'm going to be doing that for 15 minutes. If we get it done, cool. If not, it's going to be a spectacle either way.
I know it's a little soon to call any shots, and I'm not asking you to do that here, but because you haven't even had your first UFC fight yet. But now that you're on the roster, I'm sure there's a part of you that's thinking about the future in such a talent-heavy division. Like, what sorts of matchups are you hoping to get someday? Any sort of names stick out to you that you're striving for at some point?
Nothing in particular right now, but obviously, like, the goal is going to be the belt. The goal is going to be to be the champion, be the best, be top 10, be top 5. But first, we have to get through Saturday. So Saturday dictates the rest of my path and how we go from there. So one step at a time, one fight at a time, and whoever they put in front of me, I'm just going to keep knocking them off until we get there.
How's the weight right now compared to other fights?
It's good. It's low, like surprisingly low. Yeah.
Last thing, I do have to ask you this, because as someone with a name like Mike Heck, that gets me a little crap from time to time. It's all in good fun. Do you get a hard time for your name because it's so close to Christina Aguilera? Like, I had someone say to me the other day when I reported this fight that if you don't come out to Genie in a bottle, it's a giant misstep. Does that happen to you at all?
Not so much anymore, because I look a little more scary than I did growing up. But growing up, it was a lot. And, like, a lot of people got hit because of it. So, like, you just hit one person, they stop saying it. So, there we go.
There you go. So, no chance we hear Genie in a bottle on Saturday night?
I hope not. I'd be upset.
You'd probably get a ton of fans if you did that, though.
I'm sure, but, like, I don't know. She doesn't have the pump-up value.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. And you coming out with that big, incredible beard, I don't know if that's going to really make that much sense. But I appreciate it very much, man. Congratulations on the call-up. All the best to you on Saturday night. I'm very happy for you, man.
Well, thank you very much, man.